Yeah, time to record. Time to get started. Yeah, let's see. Well, let's get started and see that some more people are joining. So I got a lot of questions recently about, can you talk some more about HTML and how that works? And what I thought about is a good project for that would be using building a landing page for oneself, right? Like a personal page where you can like show your skills, right? Like what you can do and what you're up for. And I thought that might be a good starting point. For that, I'm using Glitch. Glitch is an in-browser development environment, and that is pretty cool. I've used it for my learning like programming classes, and it worked very well because we didn't have to install anything on computers. We could just get started right away. It's on the internet. It has a domain, like everything we built, and it was just working like a charm today as well. So first step is to create a new template or like a new project. They have a few templates here. We're doing the hello web page template, and that one gives us once it's up and running, gives us a basic website. Always takes a moment before it's there. And the new project here has a README, a lot of pointers to the files and explain each file, and an index HTML. That's our entry point for the website. You see here they have a cool, have a nice code editor we can use, some JavaScript, like a JavaScript file for JavaScript, and a CSS file for all the style sheets we might be applying today. So let's get started here. The cool thing is this website here is already working, up and running. So when I click on, there's a show button here, and there's that show button gives us like a way to preview or like view that website, right? And that website here is like the main template. then reload this, and it's in the same window here. And we can also show that in a separate window or tab. We'd like to have a full screen view of that. I might be using both of them most likely. Close this again for now, and it's time to get started building our portfolio website or About Me website. Delete all the boilerplate here and start from scratch. And so for those of you who haven't seen HTML before at all, close this here, make this a bit bigger. Oops. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so a basic HTML document consists of a skeleton, like a few things that are always there, and if you, or like everything else we might put in there at some point, like for customizing our website. So it always starts with these two lines here, doctype HTML, and the opening HTML tag. So this is called a tag. And they always come in pairs. So this is the opening one, and you see the highlight down here. And as you can see here, it's a very hierarchical, like there's a hierarchy to this document. So it starts with HTML as the root element, and there's several other elements inside of that. For instance, head, body, meta, title, etc. And everything else we put in body later on. So head is, so to say, like a meta tag, so to say, well, like there's a few meta, as it says here, some overall information for this website and some includes such as a style sheet, a CSS file, and a JavaScript file. So this one here is always there, title, that sets the title that we see up here. This one here tells the browser what kind of file format we have for this file, and these here are mostly, I think this one here is for mostly Internet Explorer as far as I remember, which is not, delete this here actually because this is not relevant for us right now. And this here is for mobile devices so that they know how to, like, how to zoom in, or like how to, yeah, like how to show it when they, how to show the website when they initially load it. It's not super important for us right now, but More style sheet is a bit more important for what we're doing today. JavaScript probably not too much, so therefore I'm gonna remove this here as well. Yeah, so this here, as you can see, doesn't have an opening and a closing tag, mostly for the reason that this include here doesn't have any child elements, so there's nothing that can be like below this one here. So it's just telling the browser, look, there's another file you need to load, and by the way, it's a style sheet. And when we open a website, when I open, like for instance, I click on the show button here again, and it's loading the website here. You can see, I mean, it's white right now because I deleted all the content, but what we can see here is it already has a domain. So it's available on the internet, so I can send this off to others, or when you type this in, you can also, yeah, like view it right away on your computer, which is pretty cool. But like when I reload the page here or open this for the first time, what happens is the browser fetches this document here, this file. It reads it line by line, and then sees this file as well. And then goes ahead and loads this file, reads it, and applies it to what we have down here. So to get started, we have body, and body holds all of our main website content. And there's a lot of HTML tags out there, and if I also don't know all of them by heart, so some of them I also have to look up, but the most common ones I do know. Like, it's like mostly a question of practice, right? And I usually refer to the MDN website, which is the basically like the web reference from Mozilla, and they do a pretty good job of explaining HTML, CSS, JavaScript from the beginning. Right? They provide references like this here, explaining every tag, but also offering tutorials that teach you everything else, right? And it's here you see they have a reference of all the available HTML tags. As I said, like, I don't know all of them, and there's a lot of tags I've never really seen before or used. And when you would like to build a website or your first website, you only need a handful of tags to get started, right? And so for now, what we're going to do is I'm going to use h1, which gives me a headline. And how this works is h1 declares there's a headline level 1, like they have h1 to 6. And these here have, and h1 gets this text in here, and it treats everything as headline until it sees the closing tag again. So when we look at preview again, it comes here, then don't see anything. I'm confused. No, it's my computer that's slow. It takes an awful lot of time to load. There we are. Okay. Now you see this is a headline. Great. Perfect. So, oops. Sorry, it's me using the keyword correctly. So there we go. The other tag that's quite essential to lots of websites is P, short for paragraph. And I am so that is it provides us with a basic paragraph. Just here, keeps loading. usually it automatically reloads the page when I'm editing my text here. Or sometimes it just takes a while. Like right now, it just takes a while because my computer is working really hard with streaming, and like the streaming software I'm using is giving my computer a hard time right now. Anyways, so we see here a paragraph is rendering some basic text. It has some defaults in terms of like the paddings and margins and all that, and font families. I'll talk about that a bit more. We'll talk more about that in a bit. And yeah, so like whenever you open let's say a news site and you see the article there or a blog post, right? And the article usually is rendered, the article content is usually rendered inside of paragraphs. Or like headlines are H1 or H2, depending on the level they're on. So yeah, so this is the next one, and I got one other, but for that I briefly, so like there's another one that's called image, because I'd like to also have an image of mine here. I'm gonna upload an asset. So how it works is with Glitch, that I can upload assets, and assets can be, what it says here, images, music, more, like any kind of media files I'd like to show as part of my website. So what I'm going to do is I will upload this. I'm going to change my screen right now. Be right back. So upload this. Let's see. So I find this picture. I think this one works. Okay. Here we are again. So I just uploaded, selected a picture from my local machine. And here it's showing this as an asset. And when I click on it, I get an URL. Because what they do is they upload this to their servers so that it's like when the browser tries to fetch it, that it can be easily sent over. I copy this image URL here, copy. And what I do now is go back to HTML. And let's see. And the tag is image img, and it has an attribute src. And I paste my super long URL in there. And this is telling the browser, look, there's an image, and please fetch it from this place here. I'm just going to wait for my preview to reload, and we see the image is loaded, but it's huge right now, and it's actually a bit too big for us to see that. Even when I open this in a new window, then this might be still way too big. Let's see. It's taking forever to load. Huh? So while we're waiting here, how's everybody doing? This is this. What do you think about these HTML? Yeah, like this HTML introduction. Is there anything specific you'd like to know, or like any questions around this? I can answer in the meantime while we're waiting for this to finish loading. Let's see. think, I don't know what is not loading at all right now. But what I'm going to do is I keep this in the background and continue talking and editing the source code in the meantime. So the thing is, I'm going to come back to this image right now, or I'm going to take care of this image right now because this is way too big to be shown properly. So what I'm going to do is I go over to my CSS file and have a look here. And what we see here is there are styles that are predefined that are part of this glitch template. For instance, there are a few styles for body, font family, margin, etc. H1. I'm going to leave this for now, but what I'm going to do is I would like to specify that the image we have right now shouldn't be so big, so that it's barely, so that we can barely see it. So what I'm going to do now is I create a new style for image. I'm going to put this up real quick and then explain what it does. So auto. So the way CSS is working is it allows us to specify styles for, in this case, like a tag, like an image tag. And here we can specify styles. And most of them, I also have to look up a lot of styles, like how they work in detail a lot of times. So like these here are pretty common, like width and height, or you see here font style. Color is the text color, the font family, or margins for elements. This is still loading here, and this is a drag. So, but what we see here is the images, even if when the browser window is bigger, it's way too big to look at. So what I'm doing now is I specify that all images we have on our website should have a width of 300 pixels and an automatically calculated height. I could also do something like 300 px here and reload this here and see if maybe it works a bit faster now. I also just in the preview here next to code. Stop it here. Let's see. Oof, this is tedious. My apologies for the delays here. So maybe while we're waiting for this to finish loading, I can explain a bit more about this here. So what this is doing here is, so it says like we have a width of 300 pixel, and when I can specify a height as well, but for images, like this will we're going to see a bit hopefully is what this is doing to the image is that the image will look a bit squished, probably because the dimension. Because with this here, I'm screwing with the image dimensions, and to keep the image dimensions intact, even though I might make the image bigger or smaller depending on the website looks like or what I want to do. I put an auto here, and what auto is doing, it tells the browser, look, I have a width of 300 pixels, but the height is auto, which means choose what you deem sim fit, or like what you think should be the right height or the correct height for this, based on the image dimensions to keep that intact. Oh yeah, you can scroll up a bit more. That's better. Okay, perfect. So I also can put in a few new lines here to move this further up. So what this is doing here is it calculates the height automatically based on the image dimensions so that the image still looks fine, what its dimensions are. I might have to reload this page to actually have it. I'll just do it now. For a minute. Fingers crossed. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. So while we're waiting for the image to load, what I'm going to do is continue typing up my code here. So the next thing I'd like to show is a list of things I'd like to do. And therefore, or like for that, because it's a list, there we go. Because it's a list, I will be using a special tag for that, which is UL unordered list. There's also OL, I think, for ordered list. But given that this is just a random list of things, it doesn't have to be numbered. So let's have a look here real quick. On the right-hand side, we see the image is smaller now. It's still not big, but it's at least fits well into like the preview window here. And that is what we can do with CSS. We can style our website, adjust the layout and all that, which is what I think pretty cool. And like has also come a long way over the last years, where initially CSS was like pretty basic, like styling, like with height, colors, etc. But like today we can do entire layouts in this, and like responsive layouts and all that, animations, etc., which is pretty cool. So let's see. The last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to create this list, and no matter if it's unordered list or the other one would look like this, OL. Let's do it like this. Do another paragraph. My top 3 programming languages, and list item JavaScript, Rust. If you want to know more about Rust, also have like a few cool things we can build with Rust in the next few days. Let me know if that's something you're up for. JavaScript, Rust, and Ruby. Okay, and what I do. Programming, teaching, and sales. So let's see what happens to our website now. maybe still trying, not giving up on hopefully having the website shown here as well in the full page. So while this is loading, I'll explain a bit more. What you see here is up to me to like what I put into body, right? So I have a headline, a few paragraphs, an image, lists, etc. And oh, there we go. Okay. And the cool thing, what you can do, or like the interesting thing here is, I first of all have an ordered list and list items here, and the same down here with like an unordered list and also the same list items. And this is how it looks like. So we see here, this is my paragraph. This is my ordered list. It automatically assigns numbers in consecutive order. And for the unordered list, what it does is it puts bullet points here. And if I don't like bullet points, I can also customize this with CSS to either show nothing, or I think there's a long list of options I can put in there, right? So that's that's the interesting thing. So I think the last thing I want to do today is like making this look a bit nicer on like small screens and also bigger screens. I want to show a bit more of this here, like on over here, that I think I first have to adjust my streaming setup a bit so that this is that my computer is not having such a hard time with browser windows and all that. So I will go a bit more into developer tools and all that next time. But what we're going to do today now is to finish this is using something called Flexbox to have a bit nicer layout. So what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to make this image a bit smaller, 200 pixel, and let's see while that's loading. So what we're going to do is, so on a small screen, I think we can use this down here as an example. On a smaller screen like here, or like if this was my mobile phone, it's fine. Everything is shown in a column, right? Like just like one after another below each other. And for bigger screens, though, I'd like to have these shown next to each other. I'm going to put in the code, and I'm not sure if we can. Let's see if we can test that properly. So what I will do for that is I use another element called div, short for divider. Put this here and put the closing one down here. Format the file pretty quickly, just so I don't have to format everything myself. So the thing about formatting code is the computer doesn't really care how the code is formatted. Like if there's one new line or 5, it's more like for us developers, like having this aligned properly so that we can easily read this. And it's like if you're just learning how to code, like if this is completely new to you, then if you don't align, or like if you don't format everything the exact same way as it's formatted here, that's perfectly fine, because it's when it's just you practicing, it doesn't matter. Like it becomes more important when you start working together with others or when you work on something more professionally, right? Because then readability really matters. Like if the project gets bigger and bigger. But for now, if you're just starting out, using this function here is fine. It's very helpful, but it's not a must-have. You must do this a lot, right? So the thing about this div here, what I put in, not fast, great. We don't see any difference, right? Like this is exactly shown the exact same way as before. And this div here is mostly there to help us as developers to organize our code better so that we can style it better. What I mean by that is, what I do is I add another attribute called class. And it is about me. So this here about me, I just made that up so I can put in anything I want here. Important thing is white spaces, hence the hyphen or dash. And let's see, the other thing I want to do here, select the class here is giving me what helps me to identify this piece of code here from CSS. Because what we've seen before is that CSS can help us to style individual tags, or sorry, not individual, but like tags, like what all image tags now are with these dimensions, for instance. I can also style more specific tags on my website. And how that works is through classes. I do, like, I call this all about me, and the convention here is I put the same name in here with a dot in front. That's the naming convention for that, for CSS. And then I can add styles here as well. Like I could add the same ones as here, like width and height. But what I'd like to do here is configure them that they keep showing like this on small screens and next to each other when the screen is bigger. And how I can do that is through a mechanism called Flexbox. It's a built-in CSS feature, and I enable this through display flex. And then I can say X direction. I'd like to have this shown in a column. And there's another one called justify content like start, which means start at the beginning of that. I can also do others that there's a space between them and things like that, but for now, like this is fine. When I reload, we shouldn't see a difference because it's like this here will cause these elements to be rendered exactly the same way. Yeah, so that's still loading, but it's we won't see a difference. We'll try once loading this. Okay, we can expand this here, which is good. Then we can keep loading the website here. But I can use that as a hack too. Oh boy, was it? Stay over there. Come. Okay, great. So this is still working on small screens. Perfect. Now, you might have seen something before that when you open one website on your phone, it has a column layout. And when you open it on your computer or tablet, it's expanding. There's more things visible or arranged differently, etc. And that is achieved through a mechanism called media queries. And that works like this. I do an @ at media, it's a keyword, and I say that one we have a minimum width of let's say 400 pixels. I just make that up, that number. So that's what I put in here is, it depends a bit on like what kind of content I have and like how it's supposed to be shown, like when the screen gets bigger and bigger. For now, just for testing purposes, let's say 400 pixel. I can say, okay, and then I redefine this about me class. Let's say flex direction row. And what happens now is, or what I'm doing here is I tell CSS, or through this media query, I tell the browser, look, on a bigger screen, here's the exact thing you should be doing differently, which is, instead of doing this column layout, column-based layout, I will have it in a row. And so I click the reload button here, one again. Then let's see what happens. In the meantime, I just here a bit more. There we go. And what you can see now is, as I keep expanding my screen here, it's shown in a row instead of columns. So when I move this back here, so then you see now it's column-based again, and that's a cool thing. I load the page once, and then this here is dynamically altering the site without having to reload it. So that might even, what you might have seen is on like if you open a website on your mobile phone and have it in portrait mode, and when you flip it to landscape mode, that already, like that things already start to look different. And this is the mechanism that's used behind the scenes. And I think this is pretty cool. So this is really a nice thing to do. And that concludes today's stream. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and find out why my computer is having such a hard time with like streaming here. And then, hopefully have something better lined up for the next stream. As for the next stream, I have a calendar on my website, 21lessons.com, and here, so this post is pinned, so this will always be on top for now. Here's a calendar embedded that will show the next streaming date. I'm gonna put this in here. Like, I don't know yet exactly when it will happen, but it's gonna be at some point this week for sure. Probably in the evening hours. So much is clear already, I would say. All right. If you have any questions, comments, please email me. So email is on 21lessons.com, or also reach out to me on Instagram. So the link to Instagram should be down here as well, I think. But there's also a contact here, so where you can find contact details. All right. Hope you had like you learned something, had a nice time here. See you soon.